Forget about virtual tutoring. You need hours so you don't NC, lose credit, or if you need some help in math, just message me, text or email, set up a time. Here's the Google Classroom code. Let me know, let me know. Better to do it sooner than later. Now I'm saying. All right, 2 things that we learned. 2 things we learned yesterday, arc length and area of a sector. If you weren't here yesterday, make sure you pay close attention. Right? Wow. Arc length. So one of the formulas we had yesterday for people who were not here, arc length is the length on the edge. It's literally the length of the arc. It's like the crust of a pizza. It is not in degrees, it is literally in inches or centimeters or whatever, the distance. So since it's a part of the circumference, here's your formula for arc length. Theta over 360, 2 pi r. That's how you find the arc length. So you need to know 2 things, theta and r. And the 2 things are in your picture here, okay? The area of a sector is like the shaded part. It's the area of the slice of pizza, basically, okay? So the area of a sector, since it's a part of it, it's also theta over 360, but this one is pi r squared. So both of these look similar, but one is 2 pi r for arc length, one is pi r squared for area of a sector. Now, what is theta and what is radius? So who can tell me what's the theta, the central angle? (107 degrees). What's the radius from the center to the edge? 6. Okay. Can you plug those 2 numbers into the expression here? Should. Now notice this says as a decimal. Decimal means plug everything in the calculator. So I'm going to replace theta with 107 over 360, 2 pi, and instead of r, I'm going to put 6. So can I type that in the calculator? So everyone hear me. New people who were not here yesterday, listen. Decimal means plug everything in the calculator. So go ahead and press Control Divide. 107 on top, 360 on the bottom. Go to the right. 2 pi 6. You see how I typed everything in using this pi button down here at the bottom left? I got 11.205. The 5 rounds the 0 up to 11.21. 11.21. What are my units of measure? What are my units of measure? What are my units of measure? M stands for meters, okay? So 11.21 meters. Now, very important, since arc length is a length, it is just meters. There's no squared on it, okay? The only time you use squared is when it's area over here, okay? So for regular arc length, do not put a squared on the meters, okay? Now, let's do the next one. Theta over 360 pi r squared, that's what you use when it says area of a sector. So let's plug in. Theta is 107 over 360. Pi r squared is pi 6 squared. Now, if you were not here yesterday, look over here. This is very, very important. Okay, so look, do you see how it says in terms of pi? In terms of pi is a little bit different, so let me show you how it looks. When you do in terms of pi, you're going to type all this in except for the pi. Are you hearing this, people that were not here yesterday? Okay, So type all of the numbers in, do not type the pi. So here's how it's going to look. 107, control divide, 360, go to the right. Normally I would put pi 6 squared, but I'm not going to put the pi. I'm just going to put 6 squared. Do you see that there's no pi on the calculator? Once you get a fraction, press control enter, and I get 10.7. Okay, now look, this is very, 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 very important. If you do not type the pi in the calculator, you have to write the pi in your answer. If you do not type the pi in your calculator, you have to write the pi on your answer. That's called, in terms of pi, like that. Okay. Now, what are my units of measure again? Meters. And since we're talking about area of a sector, area is always square units. Very important. Let's recap. From this one picture, there are two things you can find. The arc length, which is the edge only, the arc. The sector is all the area inside of that piece of slice or whatever. Okay. Now, here's your formula for arc length. Here's your formula for sector. And then you plug in theta and radius into your formulas. Everyone, decimal is when you type everything in and your units of measure are not squared for arc length. But remember, in terms of pi, don't type the pi, write the pi. If you don't write it, it's not right. And remember, area has square units. So this is an example of everything we learned yesterday. If you weren't here, you can get the notes, okay, out of the blue bin. And what I want you to do first is check the little sheet I gave you that you got on the way in. See if you have any missing work, knock that out. If you need to do quiz corrections, I'm going to give that to you. You need to do it today. Otherwise, you're working on this. Area of sector and arc length for 4-2, which is today, that assignment. Cool. Let's get started.